My name's Destin, Bronzey, either or, you can call me either. I'm a former professional player and coach in Apex Legends. Kind of just chilling now, and I can get into the nitty-gritty of that after. But today we're going to talk about Apex, how to go pro, the steps to take to go pro, and what to kind of expect, not just from Apex, but in general being in a environment where you're pursuing a professional career in esports, right? So a little backstory of myself as I started competing around the age of 19, 2019 to be exact. This is kind of like my first entry into esports. I did play games competitively before, but wasn't too familiar with how to get into esports. I was just very, very competitive. So how did it start with Apex? Well, I kind of just got hooked onto the game, played my first match, won it. And it's just something that I really, really wanted to pursue. So I put a lot of hours into it. And I got lucky and it paid out in a certain way, right? So if you guys aren't familiar with this website, it's a really good website to kind of just do some research. This is one of the first things I would say for people who are getting into esports or wanting to figure out people's careers and how they started and stuff like that is look at their Wikipedia. Every top esports has building up to be a popular esports. So there's majority of the games on here that you guys may be interested in. And if we took a look at my history, right? And change it by date here this is my literally first tournament. And this is literally like a week after Apex launch. And I was able to win it. And this is kind of what sparked my interest into Apex. How many hours do you have in Apex? You know, it's I put around before I started coaching, I put around 4,000 total hours in Apex. I burnt myself out pretty quickly doing that. So definitely have a good balance within your life on how much you should be playing and pursuing and your personal life. And if you're not putting enough time in your personal life, it's definitely going to affect how you approach games as a competitive esports or competitive environment on the long run. So as you can tell, I had like a somewhat decent start of, performance and stuff like that, making some money. And this is where it kind of just sparked off, right? This TwitchCon San Diego 2019, got really lucky that I got invited and kind of just pushed on from there. I just kept going and going. And as you can tell, like everybody goes through these tough, rough spots of the performance that you may not want to have, right? And I just got lucky that it wasn't at the very, very beginning. But as you can tell from 03 2020, right? All the way till probably the 8th, so 5 months where it was just very, very mediocre performance from me. And I was just not pushing out the results that I wanted. And the one thing I want to tell everybody whenever you're going through this stuff is like really dissect your gameplay and take some time to learn what you're doing right and wrong. And do your best to just capitalize on it. It's the only way to really improve is to make these mistakes, to have these bad performances. And I think that's the biggest expectation that you guys should have on yourself is to not just feel like, oh, you're really good right now and that you're expecting immediate results. Because if you're trying to expect immediate results, the harsh news for you guys is this is not the career for you. Okay. And I want to be as honest as possible with you guys. And if you guys are trying to make this a career and you guys are trying to, pursue esports, expect bad results. And the best thing that you can do is sit down and talk to yourself and figure out how you can perform better, right? And as I kept pushing, as you can tell, I had a very, very good 2021 year where I just kept winning a lot of tournaments and kept going with mediocre and then some decent tournaments. And it kind of just stopped around this area right here. I kept going a little bit, but it stopped around this area right here, right? And then everything else became a little bit slow and stagnant. And this is when I decided to go towards coaching. And the reason I went to coaching was because one thing that a lot of people I feel like kind of struggle with is determining whether if this is a career that they can do on its own without going to college, without taking school seriously. And that's another topic that I want to cover is like, for me, school and college was still important to me. So that's why I wanted to balance within it. And it definitely affected my gameplay, right? And I'm not going to say it's impossible to be a top performing player while doing school and college, but your expectation should not be you will be at the top per se, right? You can be within top 5, top 10, but winning everything is truthfully a little bit unrealistic, right? And that's something I accepted. But I wanted to put more time into school, which is why I went down to coaching. And you can see when I kind of started coaching right here. So I didn't coach for too long, 3 to 4 years. It's about the same, but I didn't coach as many tournaments. But I had a good time doing it. Would you say you always loved the game, even as a professional, or did esports scene make you want to grind out and burned out? I think the drive to continue and push to be at the top performing level really drained me. It really pushed me out to not enjoy the game as much. And I don't want you guys to be scared to grind the game. Okay. It's something that I loved at one point. It's just, it goes back to the original topic that I had is you have to take care of yourself as well. And that's something I wasn't doing, right? I was playing the game, I believe 15 to 16 hours a day, whether that's ranked or scrims, and just constantly pushing. Even if I didn't have a ranked squad, I'm just playing by myself, solo queuing ranked, and just trying to improve as much as I can. And eventually it led to burnout, which is why you saw like a period of time where I didn't have the results that I exactly wanted. But yeah. Now, the other thing I wanted to cover is your inputs, right? I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys in this call play on different inputs, mouse and keyboard, controller, and there is pros and cons to each input, okay? And that's something that you guys have to accept, right? Typically, mouse and keyboard players struggle to maintain certain roles in competitive because it is easier in an up-close battle to fight a control with the controller because you have aim assist, right? But that doesn't mean mouse and keyboard is necessarily useless. They typically play the IGL role or the ankle role, right? The IGL role makes all the decision, the calls, how to play the game, how to move around the map, and then the ankle role holds their position and makes sure that no one's flanking you, coming from behind, that you still have a strong position even if the zone starts closing. And then the controller usually picks up the fragging role, right? And the fragging goes out, gets the kills, branches out, see what damage they can do, but still knowing that they have a safe spot because of the anchor, right? So as you can tell, each role plays a very, very important position for the team, and that kind of determines how you want to approach this game when you are playing on the input that you're playing, right? I'm not saying mouse and keyboard fragging is impossible. There are plenty of mouse and keyboard fraggers, and I'm sure one of you guys know some of your guys' favorite probably that I was able to coach and play with is Timmy, right? He's a mouse and keyboard fragger, right? And as you guys know, he's very, very talented, and it takes a lot of work and ethic to make sure that you're able to put yourself in that position. I'm not saying controller is blatantly easier, but they do have an easier time with being able to frag compared to anchor, right? Because they can dish out more damage consistently. Now, if you're a controller, I'm not saying you can't anchor. There are plenty controller anchors in the world, right? And one of them notably is Bronzey from Falcons, and he plays his role extremely well. And that just shows that I don't want you guys to think that, oh, you had to play one input in order to match one. But just know there are pros and cons to both, right? Like typically people expect high damage from controller players, and if you're not dishing that high damage, they'll probably swap it out for a mouse and keyboard player who can put mediocre damage and still play that anchor role. Now, we're going to talk about specific gear and stuff like that. I'm not going to promote anything. There's nothing that I will say like, oh, you need to buy this brand or that brand. It all comes down to personal preference, but you do want to stay within standard esports for first-person shooters at least, right? Like games like Rocket League and like MMOs may be a little bit different, right? But in an FPS, right, there's standard mice that people use, right? Like a very lightweight. Personally, I like mine midweight, but like with a really good sensor, right? And you're gonna have to do your own research for that, right? And then for controllers, like you have to decide, well, do you prefer Battle Beaver? Do you prefer Scuff? Do you prefer a normal controller? There's some pros that play with normal controllers. And then for the keyboard, the industry standard, at least if you guys want to do some research into it, is a uh, performance keyboard, right? A magnetic switch, which allows you to kind of change the alteration of your actuation point for the keyboard. And I want to heavily emphasize that is really, really, really important in Apex if you're a mouse and key player, because it will help you a lot more than you would expect, especially in a movement-based game. Your mouse pad is personal preference. Your headset's personal preference. Your monitor, I would say, maintain it up above 144 hertz, and then your resolution is personal preference. Hearing that, I want you guys to all understand that there's no secret purchase, secret thing that you can buy to improve yourself, okay? It all comes down to how much work you're actually putting yourself and training yourself, not will this mouse, will this controller make me better, right? As you know, like Imperial How, he used to use Battle Beaver. Now he uses this controller. Now he uses that controller. He goes to different controllers, partially because of sponsorships, but to also figure out what works the best for him, no matter what the industry standard of, wow, a Battle Beaver controller is really good, right? And that's why I want to inform you guys is really test out. I know it could be pricey and figuring out what type of peripherals that you guys should use, but do your best to try it out and see what works best for you. If you're ever at a friend's house or you're able to borrow someone's equipment, like don't be afraid to test out their mouse, their keyboard, their controller, and see if it's something that fits you more than what you're currently using. Aside from all that, why did I retire from esports? I truthfully got burnt out, and that's just the whole of it. As well as it's very, very hard to keep up in esports, and that's something that I want you guys to be aware of as well. I'm not saying it's impossible to do it when you're 30, 35. There are plenty of players still doing it, especially in CSGO, Valorant, and stuff like that. But when you play this game for so long, the truth of it is that you'll start growing up and meeting people, and you got to pay your own bills, you got to start a family and stuff like that. And I think for me, that's where I kind of wanted to focus on, is like finding a job outside of esports, because I want to not stick to the video game the entire time of my life. As well as some of you guys may be in this position right now and some of you guys may not, is that when you're around 15 to 20 years old, you can play the game for near 16 hours a day. Like that's literally what I used to do, right? But as you start getting older, you can't do that as much, right? You just got other responsibilities to do. So that means when you get older, it's not that you're washing out, you're not as good as you used to be. It's just people at that age who start reaching 15 to 20 can start putting in those hours and catch up to you, right? And that's usually what happens. I don't want you guys to think it's I'm 27 and it's a reflex issue now, okay? The reflex issue is not going to come till you're like 35 plus, bro. Okay, it's literally just the new age of people growing up can put more hours into the game, and they're able to catch up faster because you essentially paved the pathing of how to improve in the game, and they just shortcut it. You mentioned it can be hard to keep up with esports. What do your schedules look like as a coach and player? So when I was a player, the schedule was really, really rough because I was balancing college. So you're hearing 16 hours a day. Did I really do 16 hours a day while balancing college? Yes, because I didn't study. I didn't do anything. I mean, there was days that I probably did maybe a little bit less hours, but definitely didn't balance it correctly, which affected a little bit of one side, aka school, which is why I stepped down to coaching, is so I can balance it out a little bit more. Coaching, I was able to balance it out a little bit more where, I only had to coach for scrims, and then an hour or two after each scrim to talk about the issues with the team. And then the rest of the day I can literally spend studying and doing whatever I have to do. Now, graduating and having a little bit more free time, the schedule became more of like a normal wake up for scrims and then just do my thing. There wasn't any like crazy schedule, but I will say most esports schedules revolve around the afternoon to nighttime, and that's just because it's just easier for everyone to get on around 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. So that's why you notice scrims and stuff like that usually start in the afternoon and not in the morning, like a typical 9 to 5 job starting at 9 a.m. So that is another thing as well. But yeah, this is it. So if you have any questions about my history or what stuff like that, feel free to ask. How was it to play at LAN and stuff like that. Gallery sick. Appreciate it. I mean, I guess I can cover that very quick before we move on to the next topic is playing in person, right? And that's something that you guys will probably experience very, very soon. And that's something that I think you want to try to start when you are not as a top performer, I would say. So in the beginning of your career, those tournaments that are local and stuff like that, where you can go out and play for $50 for free, whatever, it may look corny, cheesy. It's something that I didn't do because I thought it was corny and cheesy. It's something that I encourage you guys to do. So I heard there's like an event this weekend, and it's just like, no matter what the prize money is, how many people are playing, like get yourself familiar with like a competitive environment and like just wanting to win. No matter what's on the line, it is really, really good. How many LANs have you been to as a player and coach? So as a player, I've been to one. I qualified for one official ALGS event. Unfortunately, I was not able to play it because of COVID. And then I went to 3 LANs that weren't official ALGS, so it was more content creator like Twitch rivals and stuff like that. As a coach, I've been to almost every like 5-6 LANs events. How good would you say you and your teams are good at comms? Communication is really important in this game, and that's something that we're going to cover next. But communication, team compositions, and map knowledge, right? And I know there are a couple maps that you guys will be playing, and it's probably more industry standard of like Storm Point, E District, World's Edge for Apex, right? They may toss in Broken Moon every now and then, but those maps, the main thing that I would say for you guys as you're learning these maps and what is the best thing to do is to learn the map. I know that sounds like very, very like straightforward and stupid, but like it's not just play the game and then learn from your mistakes from the game, right? The one thing that a lot of people fail to do is actually learn the map. There are plenty of positionings that you don't really expect that is good, right? So loading up a custom game or playing a public game and just roaming around the map. Don't even try to win the game, right? Just start roaming around the map and just be like, wow, like pay attention to your environment and see what is good cover and what is bad cover and why is it good cover and why is it bad cover. And the best way to do your research really is to watch these professional Apex games on through ALGS, right? You will see 20 squads within literally ring 3, ring 4, right? And that's because these players know where to play. These players know what's a good spot. It could be the most out of the ordinary spot that you've never seen a team play, but pro players are playing it, right? And they're playing it for a reason, right? And that's what you guys should be doing when you're working on your communication with your team is like, when you're coming up with a pre-plan on, for Storm Point, we should land at the mill, take the car for these type of zones and drive over here. Why are you driving over there? Why is, let's say Falcons, right? Why is Falcons taking this path and going this direction and setting up this spot? That's what a lot of people don't do. And that's something that I encourage you guys to do is to ask why. You're not going to get an answer from the streamer, right? But you should ask yourself why and really think about it. Like, think about what does a cover look like, right? What is their positioning for the next ring? Is that positioning strong? And are they in a position to get kills, or are they in a position to continue being in a safe spot but doesn't prio as many kills, right? So those are the 4 things that you guys should be focusing on when you look at E District, Storm Point, World's Edge, all the maps is why are those teams playing those positions and what benefit does it provide for them? And then ask, what doesn't it provide for them, right? So if you're going to sit in a building, for example, you're probably not going to gain as much benefit getting kills if it's a building in the center of the ring because everyone around you is also safe, right? But if you sit in a building closer to the edge of the ring, you probably find more success getting kills, but then you find yourself being in a little bit of a difficult position to go deeper in the ring. So there's pros and cons onto how you position yourself. And then team compositions, right? Why is 100 Thieves, Falcons, whoever playing crypto or caustic, right? I know a lot of you guys probably watching and in this call have favorite legends, right? But ask yourself, why are these legends not being picked and competitive, right? And also, why are some legends being picked? So if you hate playing Gibby, unfortunately, the harsh news right now as of 10/16/2025 is Gibby is meta on Stormpoint. And that's something that you have to ask yourself, like, one, do I want to play Gibby, right? And if you don't want to play Gibby, how are you going to perform without the Gibby, right? And Gibby is good right now, I'll tell you, because you can bubble the car and get into positionings really fast and set up your team, right? And you can reset and everything like that, which is why he has such a high pick rate on Stormpoint. But when you start going to World's Edge and E-District, you notice that his pick is low because there's not as many cars, right? There's no cars at all on those maps. So when you're making these compositions, that's what you have to think about. It's like, what is good for each map and why is it good for that map? Now, Caustic, a lot of people don't like playing Caustic, but like he's so strong right now. It's just something that if you want to become a professional player, you will have to learn majority of the characters. For me, I hated playing Gibraltar. I hate playing Gibby. But in my professional career, if my team believes that I would make the best Gibby for the team, it's something that you're going to have to take that ownership and play and learn. And how do you start learning these characters to the best of its ability? And how do you get good with each character, even if it's a character that you feel like it's not, fan favorites like Wraith or Alter or Ashe, right? Is one, you got to have the courage and the dignity to understand that, okay, my team thinks I'm best on this position, or no one is playing this position on my team. I have to play it, right? And two, have the discipline to go into public matches, go into ranked games, and just fight with the character. If you fight with the character, you will learn how to use the character's abilities, right? It doesn't matter if it's Lifeline, it doesn't matter if it's Mirage, it doesn't matter if it's Octane, right? Every ability matters in this game. And that's the next thing about Apex Legends, is that if you cannot understand ability management, you are not going to succeed in this game. But if you understand ability management, which is good, really dig deep into it and figure out, okay, what's a good, what's a good time to bubble? Let's say you're watching a 1 minute clip of yourself, right? Playing Gibraltar. It's like, why did I bubble now versus 10 seconds later? Or was it better to bubble 10 seconds before rather than now, right? All those little nitty gritty questions will help you improve. And the only way you can do that is, again, a bunch of fights. What legends would you play on the current map? So there are a bunch of maps and rotations, so I'll just go over all of them very quick. Stormpoint, Gibraltar, Newcastle, Catalyst, Wraith. But as you notice on that map, there's cars, right? So if you don't have a car, you probably need a character that helps you rotate. But if you have a car, then you need a character that protects your car. So that's Gibraltar, right? So how does a car team compare to a team with no car, right? So we're comparing Mill to the Cascade, right? Mill has a car, but they're a little bit further on the edge. That means they have to drive towards the middle if the zone's centered. But Cascade doesn't have a car, but they're close to the zone. The car can still catch up to Cascade. So that means if you're playing a position with no car and you're really trying to get into the zone, then that means you have to accept the fact that you had to cut some loot out, understand that, oh, we cannot loot this entire POI because we have to keep moving or else people are going to beat us to the spot that we want. Or you accept the fact that we have no car, right? All these teams with the car will beat us. Let's play slow and play for kills, but that means we will not be in the position to win the game per se. You can still win the game, but it's going to be a lot harder because there's going to be teams in those power positions. E-District, right? Bunch of buildings. That's why Gibraltar's not as good. There's so many buildings that you have so many safe spots that Gibraltar is not going to be helpful for you being stuck in the open. You shouldn't be really stuck in the open on E-District. And then characters like Bangalore is a little bit weaker on E-District because it's just a bunch of buildings. What is her ult going to do, right? And going from building to building, it's better to play Wraith. It's better to play Alter. It's better to play Ashe even, right? Characters that just skip around at these small distances really fast, building to building, rather than I need to smoke here and then cross and then smoke here and then cross, right? And like I said, majority of the time you're ultimately not doing anything. World's Edge is where it's a little bit weird, right? It's a mix of both. There's a bunch of buildings in like Skyhook and Fragment Monument, but then you have open area like Overlook where it's just it's a big hill, or Epicenter where it's a big hill, right? So you're a little bit more flexible on that map, but then you have to understand like, well, there's also a bunch of mountains, right, on World's Edge that you have to cross. Like Valkyrie, truthfully, isn't bad. It's just unfortunate that she's not her meta at the moment. The way that she's balanced is not as good. But let's say Valkyrie gets buffed, right? She'd probably be pretty good because she can just go over a bunch of mountains really quickly, right? And then Broken Moon has a bunch of zip lines, so you probably don't need Pathfinder, right? Has a bunch of zip line that takes you around, but also those zip lines can lead you to death because you're zipping around so fast and people are also zipping around or people are also rotating. So you have to be cautious of how it's played, right? Without all those zip lines, there's not a bunch of buildings besides Quarantine Zone. So it's a bunch of open area. So characters like Newcastle, Gibraltar are really strong. Same thing with Olympus. Gibraltar is very strong. A lot of open area, not a lot of buildings. But Olympus is not in the competitive pool, so I can't give you the best answer on that, but you can assume that Olympus would be good for Gibraltar because of the open space and the car. Do you think COVID had anything to do with your performance online due to class being closed down? I do think my performance was better because of COVID. I was able to stay home and play and pretend that I'm sitting in class calls when I'm really not. So I did have that advantage for myself. Unfortunately, you guys don't have that option anymore. But that is the harsh truth about the gaming and content creator industry, is that COVID, as bad as it is good for those industry because people are at home able to watch streams and stuff like that and just spend more time at home. All right. Warm-ups, right? There is no secret warm-up, okay? Some of you guys may play Valorant. Some of you guys may play CSGO, and not saying aim training is useless, okay? But I know a lot of people are like, ooh, you should get aim labs, or you should do this, or you should do that, right? Those are good. Those are good exercises if it works for you. But I'm telling you right now, it will not work for everyone, right? I've reached Radiant in Valorant, the highest rank. I reached the highest rank in Apex. I reached the highest rank in Overwatch. I can tell you right now, aim training was not for me. Am I saying don't do aim training? No, try it out. See if it works for you, right? But for me, how I approach the game is if I want to have better aim in the game that I'm playing, I'm going to play that game more than aim training. Whether that it doesn't have to be ranked, right? I can just go in a quick play match and focus on my aiming then, rather than sitting and shooting a bunch of dummies or orbs and stuff like that, right? But to go with that, some people prefer that, right? Like Tens, popular Valorant streamer, right? He prefers aim training. He likes to aim train. He finds it beneficial. And guess what? He's one of the top North American aimers to ever exist, right? Firing range stuff, I would prefer to stay in the firing range because it's still in the game, right? I will say the nice thing about Apex that you guys should download and try is something called R5, right? R5 Reloaded. It's basically a modded version of Apex that has a bunch of practice scenarios of enemy strays or enemy jump padding and stuff like that, and just working on your tracking, working on your flicks, working on 1v1s, right? You can 1v1 other people in there with different types of cover. That will provide more benefit than, for me at least, than like a standard aim trainer. Now, if you're more comfortable in the firing range, that is good. See if you can find a friend to 1v1 in the firing range. That's also very, very good practice. But the thing about routines and warm-ups and stuff like that, it varies player to player, okay? I can't give you the secret sauce of, yo, you should do this, then this, and this before every scrim and you will be successful. That's just not the case, right? For example, right, I coached Timmy for so long. The one thing that he liked to do was he liked to aim train for 15 minutes, and then he liked to TDM a team. So he likes to 3v3 a different team in Apex and just constantly just shoot one another, just warm up that way. And then he always ate Chick-fil-A on match days, right? That's just his routine of what he believes is best for him. But then you go for other people, right? Like Jem Burton, for example, right? One of the best controller players in the game, right? He prefers getting a nice meal, a short session of TDMs, and then going straight into the match. It varies for other people. For me, I didn't like eating a meal. I didn't eat a meal before I played. I liked being in that position where my body was in that fight or flight mode of you're hungry, so you want to play your best right now in order to go eat, right? And that worked out for me for that short period of time of competing. Obviously not the healthiest way to approach things, but that is what worked for me. But yeah, that is all for warm-ups and routines and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to review this gameplay that I was provided and kind of point out what things are good, what things are bad, and stuff like that. Do you watch any other esports besides Apex? I watch Apex, I watch Valorant, I watch Overwatch sometimes. But that is mainly it. I've never played League of Legends. I've never played Rocket League. I watched Call of Duty at times. I watched Marvel Rivals, right? I reached the highest rank in Marvel Rivals. Marvel Rivals is fun to watch. If you notice the trend with those games that I'm listing, besides, let me think. No, they're all ability-based games, right? So I'm not saying you guys should pursue Overwatch or you guys should pursue Valorant, right? It's not for everybody. I know some people don't like how Valorant plays or how Overwatch is super ability heavy, right? But if you want to get good at Apex, truthfully, it is good to learn what the ability usage is in other games. And that's how I transitioned to Apex. Is I actually started with Overwatch. That was the first game I wanted to compete in, truthfully. And reaching top 500, just kept playing and playing, but it was very, very hard for me to be on par as the very, very, very top of players, right? Top 500 is only so much of the pro players. Pro players fill up for like each region, at least like the top 100. And one thing for you guys to know is that the ELO difference from top 500 to top 100 is different. Just because you're in the top 500 rankings doesn't mean you're actually at the very, very top. And that's something that I had to learn the hard way, right? Is a 750 Predator, Apex Predator, is not going to perform as a top 100 Apex Predator, right? And that's because they typically win more games, more consistent and stuff like that. And that's something I had to learn with Valorant and Overwatch is, although I was top 500, I was only around the top 300 range. But as soon as I start going against those top 50s, those top 10s, I was struggling. I was really struggling. And that just shows that there's still more levels to learn within the game. You just have to push yourself to that. Any other games that you thought about or wish you picked up as a player or coach? Overwatch, obviously, I wanted to compete in, but I didn't regret not pushing it. Valorant, I had no interest in, although I enjoyed playing. I would say probably more of a Rivals. I enjoyed the game a lot. It was just the reason why I stopped playing was because, one, my PC was not being able to handle it as well, and life just happened, which happens to everybody. Yeah. All right. Let's get into this ranked gameplay. It should be pretty quick because I can dissect it pretty easily. All right. We're going to start off with one issue already. Whoever this Caustic is, all right, this is something you never want to do with your teammates. It's to land with them. Okay? Because the gun that this Bangalore took is probably the gun that the Caustic wants because there's metas in the game, right? It doesn't matter if it's an arsenal. It doesn't matter if it's a loot path. You don't want to land on your own teammate because then you guys are both restricting each other's looting capability. You guys are going to loot the exact same thing, so you're splitting it 50-50 versus Caustic being able to land somewhere over here near the car and get all his own loot. And then he can go to the light arsenal after and grab whatever he wants, right? That is something you do not want to do. Is just land on somebody and just share the loot with them.
Nice.
Using grapple. Next ring is distant.
Got an extended energy mag here. Level 3.
My weapon is now in hand.
The one thing that's really good with this player right here is that he's fast. And that's where a lot of people struggle. Even in Masters rank, people struggle with this. Is that he's fast with looting. Okay, right there. That was a perfect example right here. He was able to come down here and look here and digest. Oh, it's a rampage. I don't need that. Right? It was a different gun. I don't need that. And he continues moving forward. Right? That is something that you have to be able to do. Like, he can look at all of this and be like, oh, charge rifle and car. I don't need any of that.
Level 2.
He drops his gear as he's looting. Right? As he's moving. He's not stopping somewhere random and being like, oh, I have to clear out my inventory, right? This is one thing a lot of people struggle with. I know it sounds very, very basic, and some of you guys might be like, dude, looting is not hard. It is very, very hard. A lot of people struggle with it. If you are not fast and you're not leaving your POI before the ring closure, you are slow. You are too slow to be able to compete against other players. So as he goes in here, right? He already knew, right, that right spot. He didn't need to check that right blanket because he checked it earlier. See, that's the importance of memorizing and remembering what he should be looking for or not, right? So he knows whatever's on the right side. He already looked at it. He doesn't need it. And he keeps moving.
Backpack here. Level 2. Optics here. Close range. First, I could use that.
This is really good. Really, really good. There's no stopping. There's no, what is this item? And that's something that you guys are going to have to practice as well. If you guys can't digest items and be like, oh, you know, that's a nemesis. I don't need that, right? A lot of players walk up and be like, oh, do I need this nemesis? And contemplate in the moment. When you land and you get the first gun you want, right? So I'm going to assume in this position, right? This guy wants to run a scout mainly and an R9, right? And the only thing that could possibly change the scout is maybe another DMR, which is like a repeater, right? So he understands what exactly he wants. He just keeps going. There's no like, oh, I don't need that Mozambique. I'm not aiming for a shotgun. I'm not aiming for an auto rifle. I'm gonna just keep going.
Ultimate is ready.
Rings move.
Level 3.
All right, let's see if we can get into the first fight here. All right, ring starts closing. We start moving towards the center.
Check out that area. Solid count.
Goes back for his team. This is good.
Better lock. Reloading. Down to target.
Who's ready to fly on this ride? I am.
Roger.
Out. Spotted. There. Thermite grenade out.
Yeah, I mean, notice how he's shooting, like where he's positioning himself to shoot, right? It's always near cover, and that's something that a lot of players struggle with. He is close enough to slide to this piece of cover right here if he gets shot at, right? The next time he shoots, he goes back right here. He's near cover. This is very, very important. He's playing cover to cover, right? He got damaged. He literally got cracked right here. What's the first thing he does? He smokes, and he's at cover. He smokes the area where he's not being covered from, which is where he came from, which is good. You notice how he did not branch out to his team right here. Okay? The main reason here, it may seem simple. It's like, oh, he's just throwing bang ult for his team. Right? A lot of people will try to run across and get the bang ult closer. But he still remembers that this guy over here is on top of that hill that can still see him, but he's in a position where the smoke is still covering him.
We should head this way.
Using grapple. That's a variable. There's an airstrike inbound.
My shields are recharged.
Right?
Recharging.
He's still near cover. Right? This tree, this rock, he's running towards this piece of cover. Right? He's not just running out in the open. I don't want you guys to think that he's just running away from a team. He is, but he's running alongside the path of cover. Right? He's using this rock for cover here.
Roger.
Climbs on it. He's still next to cover. If anything happens to him, he can just sit behind this rock, right? He smokes, and look what he pings. The next thing that he pings is cover. Cover to cover is very, very important.
Throwing frag. Deploying it. Getting shot.
Okay, he slides down. That's good. He's chowing. I will say this is one thing that you don't want to really do. Okay, you don't want to just instantly thirst this guy. Okay, the alter nexus is here, right? I want you guys to think about, can anything happen to these two guys, right? Will they be going anywhere? Okay, you guys don't have to answer. It's rhetorical. It's a no. There's no way that there's nothing that those two players can do, right? So thirsting them is actually putting you at a disadvantage, because if there's anybody that comes up on you, shoots you on the side and stuff like that, guess what? You're reloading or you're trying to thirst somebody, so you're distracted. Those players cannot move anywhere. You want to focus on just wiping the rest of the team. There are times where you should thirst, right? If he's fully cracked and needs a quick armor swap. But majority of the time, a lot of people struggle to understand when to thirst and when to keep moving.
Down. That was the whole squad. I gotcha.
First thing that he does is res. He doesn't loot, right? Armor swap from the teammate. Really, really good.
Cancel that.
Smokes himself to loot. Notice how he prioritizes the meds first. Really good. This is bad. A little bit bad. He's taking a little bit too long to loot right here. He's like contemplating what he needs to do.
Shield battery here.
I hope we can be.
Max level with power went up
Pressure's
here.
exhilarating. Lucky me. I
Enemy
have
in
an
sight.
evac tower. Only 30 seconds.
Optics here.
Let's see.
Over there.
How he handles this fight. As you can tell, he's still next to cover. Really good.
Fire, friends.
What's this place here?
Smokes his cross to get to cover.
Chimney.
Notice how he just stops looking at this Wraith, because he understands that that Wraith is out. There's no reason to keep looking for him. He's going to leave. It's really good.
Placing an independent variable. I see fire. I still see it.
Ambush! Ambush! There's another squad! Give my shit.
I see fire, friends. Broke that enemy shield. Reasonably rare. I've added a variable. Reloading.
Cracked an enemy shield.
Really good. Really good.
Gas trap deployed.
He understands that there's a few things to understand here. Is he's always at full health because he's armor swapping, right? So your confidence should be spiked. You should be pushing forward as long as you know your teammates are with you, right? And he's just sliding at everyone. He knows everyone is playing a little bit scared. He knows that he's at a health advantage, and he's just running at them, because it's going to be very hard to kill him if he's sliding in front of you, health advantage, full confidence, and his team is there.
Giving my shields a recharge.
Okay. Pings the next position where he wants to land. Little scuff, because this is not going to take you anywhere.
Let's go that way.
This is a prime example of map knowledge. Something I informed you guys at the beginning of this session, right? Is understanding what the map even looks like, right? Just roaming around the map. He should have known that placing an evac here it's not going to get him anywhere. It's not going to get him anywhere. And that's just something that he didn't play the map enough, or he doesn't remember enough in the map. And I'll tell you right now, pros will not make this mistake. Pros will not be like, oh, we pass an evac here and fly, because they'll be like, no, there's this big tower ahead of us. We can't go anywhere, right?
10 seconds remain. The ring is close.
Advance.
Really good on the priority. Here, he just goes back down and defends his positioning rather than continue to move forward and let his teammates deal with it.
Giving my shields a recharge.
Throwing some burnt names.
Under the subject.
Enemy shield. Reloading.
Confidence swinging. This is good.
Contact.
Let's go this way. Let's relocate here. Reloading.
Things cover. He moves towards cover.
Relocate there.
He's moving to a different piece of cover. It's good.
Trap set. And waiting.
This is still cover. This is not in the open. He has his big hedge to play. He goes to the next piece of cover.
Get over there.
Heard that.
Subject.
It's all cover to cover whenever you're roaming a battle royale.
Hostile spot. Enemies
Okay.
full out there.
There's one on this left side. So he's understanding that there are probably down people over here, right? Not down players, but like that team is now a duo. So he understands that he should have the confidence to swing left here and see what's over here because this team is now at a disadvantage. They lost a player, right? And you can see what they lost. They lost a lifeline. That means the enemy that's able to reset all the players on her team. Gaining information before he keeps moving forward.
Reloading.
Bend there.
45
Notice how he's not running at this building.
That's
Like, I can guarantee you, like this entire time, he just doesn't run at this building. Look at this. Yeah, he runs now, right? And the reason why he runs now is because he's waiting for a damage advantage. This entire time, he could have ran over here when they're rezzing, right? He could have ran over here when they're smoked off.
We should head this way.
Why does he wait till now, right? We'll see right here. This is the reason, right?
Spotted.
He knocks one. Now his team is at an advantage. It's a 3v2 now. This is when you start pushing up. Not all these other times whenever, right? He knocks. This is way too far. Like he can't capitalize on this. There's nothing that he can do. They're not playing Ash. They're not playing Wraith, right? He can't do anything here, right? The zipline's going to be too late.
Throwing a frag.
He tries to get the thirst. Thirst. He's still chilling. Still chilling. Even right here. This is not enough for him to be able to push up.
Enemy shield. Good effect on lead.
gas deployed.
Okay, let's go back to where he knocked him.
Hostile spot.
Knocks.
Introducing a
And
new
he moves. Look at that. That is beautiful right here. He knocks. And he doesn't run at this building. He runs at the building. Don't get me wrong, but he doesn't run from here to here because then he has no cover. He's running to cover as he's going towards a building,
recharging shield.
and then he runs to the next piece of cover. He's playing LOS. That is the key term here. Line of sight. Really, really important when you're playing a battle royale.
Reloading. That's an enemy shield.
Notice how he's playing slow. He gets the knock, but he's still chilling. He's not rushing anything. This team can't reset. This team can't do anything, right? That's why he's popping a bat. There's no need to rush this. A lot of players would rush this in this very moment. They would just run in and be like, kill this team, I knocked one. No, take it slow. You will hear if they start rezzing, right? That is really, really good. And he has his teammates to back him up to peek and stop the res if needed. And then he swings in when he's full. Quick armor swap. Good, good. One thing I like about this is one player is still watching. They're not triple looting, right? This Cossack is still watching for them as he's able to loot. And look how quickly he loots. He knows he doesn't need anything else. All he needs is ammo and a couple meds. And then he proceeds to go
Let's go this
watch
way.
the other team. So his other teammates can loot. And then he goes back, right? Okay. Now he's done. He should be done here. Now he's over looting. He's over looting at this point. No need to keep looting.
Amp here.
Looted a little too long right there.
Let's relocate.
Okay, he's pinging the next safe area. It's good. How are we going to get there? This goes to cover, right? He goes on the left side. He understands the left side is clear because that's where he came from. He ignores the team that's under him. Just keeps moving forward.
The enemies are shooting at me. Breathe it in. To reach everything.
He's able to apply pressure to this team here. Good.
Spotted. Double timing. Dropping like flies.
Reloading.
Hostile. Right here.
He's peeing cover play, which is good. You understand this team lost their positioning. This is good. Okay, I know a lot of people may be like, well, he just took the port back towards where he was getting shot from. The thing is, this team doesn't know where this port is. So it's just definitely really unlucky. But that is not a bad move. It's not a bad game. Alright. So, key things. Do not land on your teammate, please. This is like such a big issue in this game. A lot of people like landing on their teammates. Understand how fast he's looting. Okay. He is moving quickly. If anything, the only reason why it's taking longer to leave this POI is because it's his teammates. And they're running like they're looting one of the largest POIs at the moment. As well as just playing cover to cover, right? Understanding what you should prio and not prio. Like this crack right here, he keeps moving. There's no reason to try to look for them. Okay, you're not going to gain any benefit from looking at them. If anything, you're going to die trying. So he keeps moving forward. And yeah, if you guys want to watch the old Dojo 100 Thieves VODs, you can hear how I coach there. If not, you can find my coaching. I provide one-on-one coaching. I also provide team coaching. I also provide stuff like this, where I'll come out and talk to you guys on my on a third-party website called Medify. But feel free to reach out to me directly if you have that access. If not, the people who connected you here can potentially help you get in contact with me. I am very open to coaching anybody. Doesn't matter if you're bronze all the way to pred. Everyone has stuff to improve on. I've coached plenty of pred players. I've coached plenty of pro players. There's always things that people forget. Even the top pros forget how to use cover sometimes or how to cut LOS. Okay? It is very, very natural. So having that reminder and having the understanding, right? What puts me in the position to be able to coach them? It's much easier for me to look from the outside than being the inside. Okay? Being a coach and being a player are two completely different things. When you're a player, you're focused on your job and what you need to do. So then you tend to forget about the basics, right? And that's what the coach is there for. The coach is not playing, so he doesn't have to focus on the role or what he needs to shoot at. He's there to help remind the players on the basics and how to approach the basics. Appreciate you guys listening, coming out, and I had a great time.